I'm at Broadband World Forum in Amsterdam. I'm here with Jaimie Lenderman. Jaimie, thanks for joining me.
Hi, yeah.
You've been in briefings a lot of the day.
I have been. Yeah. Did fireside chat with Hyperoptic. That was great. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Hyperoptic's interesting, obviously, on the sort of service provider side as an alternative player, and I'd be kind of keen to get your thoughts on. I don't know how the vendor landscape's changing, how the service provider landscape's changing in broadband at the moment. What kind of trends you're seeing?
Yeah, it's actually pretty fascinating. There are new entrants into the PON vendor landscape, and really exciting times with the introduction of XGS PON and the capabilities that 10 gig PON's bringing to the space. We're seeing new vendors enter over the last several quarters, and we think there will be a few more. It's really an interesting time to be in broadband. You know, as you know, the pandemic really sort of proliferated the need for broadband as a utility versus as a luxury, and I think sort of touching on Hyperoptic and in the UK, the growth of altnets. We've seen a really big growth in the number of providers. Some buildings in London have multiple gigabit providers now, which has been very interesting to watch. I think that the question is what will happen as these altnets sort of continue in numbers, and will they still sort of condense? Will everybody sort of learn to play in the sandbox together?
Yeah, I mean, I know some of them are kind of expecting consolidation to come fairly soon to the UK market, because it has become, it's gone from being, you know, nobody at all really, apart from the kind of incumbent players, to a really diverse market at the moment, it seems. I mean, it's a lot of that off the back of COVID, I guess, and the fact that it just drove the need for broadband so much more.
I think that in tandem with investment, you know, straight in capital investment, it's a really great time to be covering broadband access. I've been preaching how important broadband is for years, but it's nice to see the market catch up. Yeah. So. And
on the vendor side, I mean, you mentioned there's kind of new sort of entrants coming into that market. I mean,
yes.
Is it a sort of leveraging of technologies that have been used for other parts of the network that are now being sort of rolled out into the access side?
Yes, there's a really interesting vendor named Tibit who's invented sort of a OLT on a stick, and so this is sort of enabling being able to use traditional switching and routing and deploy a PON network that way, and I think that's appealing not only to telcos but also to traditional MSOs that are trying to move into the PON space and giving them sort of an economical way of doing that.
Yeah. And when you're looking at your own sort of planning, and Omdia does a lot of forecasting, obviously, I mean, presumably you're seeing quite a lot more spending going into this over the next couple of years.
Yes, absolutely. I would say for the first time, our forecast is traditionally pretty conservative, and it is a hockey stick right now. So we can conservatively say it will be exponential. So it's a good time to be in broadband and to just see the excitement at the show and the conversations around the capabilities of what PON's going to be able to do, not only for residential, but for non-residential applications, is really exciting.
What are your thoughts on the evolution of that? I mean, I've talked to a few people here about where PON ultimately goes, and you look further out to things like 25G PON and 50G PON, and I don't know. I know there's a bit of a kind of almost a contest there, it seems, in the market about those two technologies. But
yeah, I think with the two technologies, 25 gig is available commercially at the market now, and 50 gig PON will be available in the coming years. And I do believe it depends on operator strategy. It's not the same strategy for every operator. Yeah. There are operators using PON for mobile haul, but there's also other ones that are really looking for that sweet spot with small medium enterprise. So there's a lot of room for dynamic growth in the industry, and I suspect there will be new operators entering various markets.
Well, as you say, it's a good time to be in broadband. It's a lot of activity going on. So,
yes.
And yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.